Hey everybody, so we're still on this validation thing, and yeah, and then we still have to do key up validation. Man, I just cannot believe how long this is taking. Um, it's I knew it was gonna be a nightmare scenario when I started, but yeah, I'm still surprised. Um, I think if I ever have to do a validation service in the future, I don't know if it'll be faster. Probably will be a lot faster, but I'll know like a lot of the bad corners. And I guess, to be honest, I guess this was like if I was working 8 hours a day on this, this would have been a 1 or 2 days. So I guess the fact that it's so many sessions isn't really indicative of how much time. And the thing is what usually takes time is like just missing edge cases. So now that I'm going through it in such a slow, like thoughtful product, just, um, you know, just getting down and deep into the nuts and bolts of this thing, I guess it makes more sense. I mean, it'll be faster next time. But basically, what I figured out in the last video is that I really need to return a array because when I do, it's going to get a lot more complicated when I have linear fog. And I want to add another validation that says far has to be greater than near. And so I'll have the fact that it has to be a positive float, and that far has to be. So that means I can't return a for a path in this structure, that this validator token for path map. I wonder if I need the word map. I don't know. This can't be a single token because a path could have more than one validation. So it has to be multiple tokens. So basically, I'm just going to add, since this isn't a strongly typed, it's an any, I'll just add this. But the strong typing will still save me because everything that's trying to use this is going to be upset. I don't know why this is. Oh, no. Let me increase the size of this. Um, Basically, I want this to be an array of these things. Oh, okay, and I put the bracket on the wrong side. So now, when I hit save, theoretically things should break. Uh-oh, they didn't. Um, and that would be validation path. So types. Okay, so these are so this is a, it returns. Oh, okay. So it's weird to me that I guess it didn't catch that this is not an array, but I do want to return an array of these. So I guess what I would do is that now stuff should break. Um, and then, so by default, I will send it an array. There, and then of the word with the word none in it. And then I'll say that this is of type none, and then so now we're happy, joy. And then, um, yeah, so this guy I would expect to break. So get validation tokens, so that should be tokens. And do I have that wrong on the other one? Yeah, so that should be tokens, plural. Now we got double trouble down here now because it's like, dude, that thing you're even calling is wrong. Um, so we'll solve one problem by this, and then we're going to say that, let's go ahead and put this on the next line. That, and now that is happy. Now that we've scrolled, things are messed up. Yeah, so we would expect this to be broken. And yesterday I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to do this for loop. But so that is a validation token types. And then I don't even think we need to do this anymore. We can just say fog. Okay, that's functions, plural. And then we can just for now, I'll actually delete it here in a second. Make this equals. What is his problem? Ah, this is a constant. So we'll have to make this a let up here since we're overriding it. Validators. So I wonder. So this is saying it's an array or null. Get validators. Oh, it's upset here too. Oh. This is upset because of that. Oop. Okay, so I wonder if I can just go. Well, I'm curious what that's all about. Which is gonna. Oh, okay. So the problem is the, okay, so let's go ahead and move this down here. It's not going to fix anything, but get rid of that. And now it's upset because this can return a null. So let's just go to this thing. And to be honest with you, that validator. And get this positive. Oh. Oh, so it gets the validator for a token. This gets get validator. Okay, so that gets get validation token for path, which is going to return multiple tokens. See, this is a I think this is confusing because the name this is get validation token. So now I'm going to get multiple tokens, but this time I'm only getting one token, right? But what I'm trying to get to is I want a bunch of validators, not a bunch of tokens. I want a bunch of validators. So this, I bet you I'm gonna have to bail on this one and rethink. Validation service. It's funny how when things go sideways, that's when my bird decides that she's going to be all loud. Okay, so what I have is some validator tokens, not validators. So when I went to change this in my manager, see now I have validation tokens, not that. So yeah, so what I need, get validator, I need to go over. So I still do need to do that. Okay, so let's do this. So now I have functions. So I'm saying if, okay, so that's a validation tokens. So I did get confused there. It wasn't a naming issue, but if validation, here, let me undo all of this for a minute, because I definitely was under a very bad misconception. Okay, so this is the validators, and it's an array of these things. And then this is validation tokens, which is a validation token types, and that's all good. Now, what I need to do is loop over that. So validation tokens dot for each. So if I get, and what I'm going to get is a token, which is of type validation token, or validation type. Validation token type. I don't know why it's being a pain. You should know what I want. Now, so that's tokens and that's tokens. Okay, and for every token, I want to ask for the validator for it. All right, so I have a token. I know I'm going to have a validator function. So this is singular. I get a single validation, get validation for validation token. So that is a better name, validation token. Okay, so I should get a validation, and then I need to push it. Push it real good. See, it's amazing how quickly these things get confusing once you start having layers of abstraction. So let's see. So I hate that we have all this boilerplate that basically for every single form item, we're going to have this loop that goes and does that. And maybe I can create like in the common service, or maybe in the validation service, something that returns like for a token. Yeah, that's probably what I need to do. Is I should inside. Man, it's just crazy how this just keeps growing. So inside of here, which I still have a problem. Let's see. Can I undo something? Okay. And here I could add a function that returns all of the validators for tokens instead of just calling these independently here. I could just have another one where I hand it a set of tokens and then it returns a list, um, so that I can so then I don't have all that duplication of code. Um, so there's that, and that should be a little cleaner. It is crazy though, because like as we do these and we keep getting more and more abstract and we keep adding more and more sort of functions to sort of make this, it kind of makes this code a little less like where you can just read it and see what's happening. Like right now, we know we're getting validation tokens, and then we're iterating over each validation token, and we're getting validators, and then we're pushing those validators into that. That's already kind of confusing, but now it's like uh, I'm going to add another function that returns a list of validators, and then that list of validators will just automatically be assigned. And then that will probably just end up being, uh, well, see, then it would be easy to do that as like one big line up here, which then would be extraordinarily difficult to follow. So, um, yeah. So tomorrow I'll probably take this and sort of create a function inside of the UI scene validators that can take validators. They can take a set of validation tokens and return a list back that I can then appropriately just assign there. So it'll be like const validators, and then that'll call UI validation service and takes these validation tokens. And then like maybe I even want to, I don't know, create a function over there in UI that combines those two calls into one. So yeah, and so then I could call that up here as just a single, and it just makes it that much more difficult to follow. And then the biggest question, the most important question of them all is, does this still work? We don't even know. Don't even know. We'll see. This is like probably the one of the funnest part of being a coder is like when you've written some code and you kind of due to the way the abstraction works, you kind of have to write a whole bunch of different things, and then you get to see if it works, and you get this little sort of flutter, a little flutter in the heart, and you're just like, let's see, yay, that worked. All right, so yeah, so tomorrow in tomorrow's video, I will take this and create a function inside of the UI validation service that returns a list of these validators, and then assign that directly to this function, function validators. And then the question is, function density validators is then, do we want to make it a constant again and create a single function inside of the UI validation service that we call and returns the whole list of validators just automatically. And then if that, or an empty string. And so then all you do is give it the scene and the fog density, and you get that list back. Um, and then maybe we do, maybe it makes sense to make that into an array that is, maybe we make, yeah, maybe we, you know what? I think the validation tokens should be an array, up available up here, and then down in here we can iterate over that list of tokens. Yeah, because invalid of positive float is our token. So then we can say has error token, and this all can be, would just automatically work no matter if down the road we were to add another validation, it would just work. So that would, I think, close a pretty good gap, in that we would just add, I think we could just add a new token and it would automatically handle, this little set of code would just automatically handle it. Um, and then the thing that's kind of a bummer is that it would be nice if if that whole iteration, all that was in its own component, but we can't. And the reason we can't is because this mat error needs to be, I guess, a sibling of input, the input that it's an error of. And that's probably because of CSS. So that's where we're at. I don't know. We'll just keep banging on this. Should have something nice, hopefully by the end of the weekend. Well, today is Thursday, Halloween for me. Uh, you're reading it on Saturday, so when I say by the end of the weekend, I mean like probably next Tuesday or Wednesday. We should be at that. Um, there is like, um, yeah, yeah, that should work. I was thinking I didn't really want to deal with the whole iterating over, figure out how to deal with multiple errors, how to deal with multiple mat errors. But it looks like it will be pretty straightforward if we make a the token list a state variable or a component level variable. Um, if we make it a variable that's accessible by the template, and then we iterate over all the tokens, since this is the token. And man, is this just insanely just a bunch of abstractions. And it's crazy how it's almost like we are just getting more and more exactly like all the crazy things I've seen in most of the enterprise applications I've worked with for validations on forms. Um, yeah, yeah, here we are. You walking a mile in that architect's shoe and finding out that architect was not those architects were not completely and utterly insane. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.